Hi there, it's Kate Schoedinger coming to you live from Lurgio, right here in Bedford. Your Author Stalker is back, and look behind me. How fancy have I gotten? I've got a banner. Look at this, rock and roll literacy. Not only have I gone and gotten you a new author, I've got another best-selling author coming to you to address every audience. We've got your kindergartners, we've got your 4th graders, we have your 8th graders, and we have your faculty, because Sigmund Brouwer is sharing with us that story is everything. And not only is he here, he brought a banner, he brought his books, and we have rock and roll literacy for the staff. We have Devil's Pass for the 8th graders and 7th graders here. We've got Justine McKean for the little guys. And look, it's on your device. We can do everything because we stalk seriously. And we've got a good treat for you guys. We have Sigmund Brouwer here for 2 days, and he did everything. But most importantly, he shared his stuff with us, and the Author Stalker sat down and brought an interview to you. We're live, we're Bedford, we're reading because we know that story is everything, because we love our kids in Bedford. Thank you, PTG, for bringing Sigmund Brouwer to us. So sit back and relax. We have a great show for you today. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. I'll have my cape and another banner for you. It's Sigmund Brouwer coming to you. Take care. We're thrilled to be here back at the Lurgio Library in the Media Center. Thanks to the Bedford PTG sponsoring us for another event with an author. We're so lucky to have best-selling author Sigmund Brouwer here. Sigmund, it's been a fabulous 2 days. I'm so glad that you can be here for an interview so we can talk about our great visit for 2 days. You're at Memorial, you've been with teachers, you've been with kids, you've made presentations to 1st and 2nd grade, 3rd and 4th graders. You've had lunch with kids. We're thrilled you're here, Sigmund. Tell us about your world as a writer for students and also as a writer for teachers, because we have his rock and roll literacy for teachers that every teacher and the staff here at Lurgio is reading, and it's spreading out to the other schools. Sigmund, this is us.
This is you.
This is us.
Well, I'm not going to answer your question immediately.
Okay.
Because now that I can put it on record in front of the world, this is, I don't know if I've been at a school that's been any more fun or enthusiastic, where the teachers, and I know you're driving a lot of this, but everyone's excited about using story to get kids to read and write. And it's been so fun. The kids here have been great, and it's just been wonderful. Like top school. There
That's awesome. We like that. We
oh,
like
and what
that.
did you ask me again? Oh, my world?
We like that. Your world is writer for kids, a writer for kids of all ages, and a writer for teachers. You really address the audience. You really write the story, not write the story.
I like the way you're doing that.
Yeah,
because story is the first thing. And as I told the kids,
story is everything.
Story is everything, thank you. Writing is just a way to put story on paper. We can tell story like this.
Yep.
We can tell story on movie screens. We can tell story in books.
Yep.
Story is what grabs us. Reading and writing does not grab us unless it has story to grab us. And you mentioned audience, and that's rule one: a story isn't going to work unless it works for the audience. So when I'm with the little guys, I get to tell fun stories that I know work for little guys.
Right.
And with the 8th graders today and the 7th graders, we got to be a little more serious at times, but we still had some stuff that was funny that I know hits their emotional buttons.
Yep.
And when I write for grown-ups, the language, the complexity of the language might change, and the stories might be a little more serious at times. But yeah, if our students learn just one thing, how's that? If they learn just one thing, any parents out there listening, rule one is audience. When they write their emails in the grown-up world, they have to ask themselves, who's on the other side? What language is going to reach that person, and how do I formulate my message in a way that reaches that person? And once you understand rule one is audience, then your writing and everything else in communicating is effective.
Everything else will fall into place. But that's really critical, because we're talking about kids as writers, kids as readers, and they're in this world of immediacy. They have their devices.
Yes, they
do. They have everything at their fingertips. But writing is messy. I say to kids all the time, writing and reading is messy. It's laborious. It's difficult. You have to sit in it. We say at Lurgio, got grit. Do you have the grit?
I'm going to take that. Got grit?
Got grit. Do you have the grit to stay in it? So how can we, as teachers, support our students as readers and writers?
If you agree with my argument that good stories make you feel something.
Yes.
And really, if you think of any story that you've enjoyed, it's made you curious, it's made you sad, it's angered you, right? Like Uncle Tom's Cabin changed history because of how it made people feel.
Yes.
Every great story makes you feel something. And if that's the truth, then when kids give you their stories on paper, because you're just using writing to deliver a story, I think you need to remember there's a little boy or little girl attached to every story.
All right, this is a great place, Sigmund, because let's peel this back a little bit. You shared this with us in Rock and Roll Literacy, and you talk very openly about your world as a writer, as a kid writer, and being devastated in a classroom by a teacher. How did you change from being a kid who sat like this in a classroom?
Literally, every English class from 7th grade to high school, after that teacher told me I wrote a stupid story, those are his words,
to becoming a prolific writer.
I had a professor in university who just made an offhanded comment and said, "This is good, I like it, could you give me more of it?" And that's all it takes. Maybe the best example I can give you is when my little Savannah gave me a back rub. She was 5 years old.
Yeah.
She overheard the conversation at dinner where I said to my wife, "Oh, my neck is so sore." And my wife said, "Yeah, good luck, help me with the dishes."
Right.
Which I did, let's make that clear.
Okay, okay.
And then when I sat down on the couch, Savannah came up behind me and started going, "Daddy, I'll give you a neck rub," my little 5-year-old.
Yes.
There's a little girl attached to that act of love.
Right.
If I would have approached it on an intellectual level and said, "Savannah, you're missing the nerves, professional masseuses dig deeper," and if I would have basically analyzed her back rub, she would have stopped giving me a back rub.
It'd be devastating.
But I gave her an emotional reaction and I just said, "Oh, Daddy I just remember going, Daddy loves that. Thank you so much."
Yeah.
And the next night, as soon as I sat on the couch, she was behind me and said, "Do you need another back rub?"
Right there. She was right there.
If good stories make you feel something,
yep,
and we give an emotional reaction to their stories, if we can fight the brain impulse that says, this story needs to be corrected here, here, and here, and listen to our heart that says, a little boy or little girl, and they can be in 10th grade and they're still a little in their heart,
yep,
a little girl has just handed me this story, I am going to give them an emotional reaction first. Whoa, that's funny.
Yeah,
dude, you're scaring me.
There has to be support.
If they get an emotional reaction to their writing, and parents, if you can ignore what your brains are telling you about the conventions of spelling, punctuation, mechanics, and just celebrate their stories, they will get better at reading and writing through story. And this, I'm going to jump in again. I know you want to say something too bad.
This is good. This is good. I'll
this
share.
School,
I'll share.
I know one of your strengths at this school is that you promote free voluntary reading.
We do.
Which
we
appears
do.
to
fly. Celebrate it.
Yes, appears to fly in the face of curriculum. We need to have them read this now and that now and that now, and we need this exercise. And I shared this with you that a 40 years, so it's got some legitimacy, study has shown that the single best way for kids to get better at all aspects of reading, writing, mechanics, spelling, punctuation, grammar, word choice, comprehension, the single best way is to let them read the books they want to read.
See, we celebrate that, and I will make a plug for our Books
Yes.
for Breakfast Cafe every
Amazing.
Friday morning here
Yep.
at Lurgio Library. That's open to every student to drop in, and our favorite phrase is, I hate to read, I hate to write. That's music to my ears because there's authors like you where I can say to a kid,
Ah, yes.
I can connect you to a book and you will like this book. I have
Because it
confidence.
has a story in it. So
There's
what I
a
just
story
heard you
in
say
it.
is you love
Yes.
it when you get the challenge and a kid says, I hate reading,
Yeah, I
and
love
you're like,
that.
all right,
I love that.
I'm going to use story,
Yep.
the most powerful thing humans have as a
Story
force.
is everything because you connect.
I'm going to use story to hook you on reading because
Yeah.
reading will deliver story. This
Yeah.
is why I love it here.
Yeah, it's powerful.
That you guys do it that
very
way.
powerful, and that we can streamline those stories. And so you spent 2 days here talking about cockroaches,
Wedgies,
wedgies,
cow gas,
cow gas,
boogers,
slingshots,
slingshots.
boogers. Great stuff. Okay, now let me be a devil's advocate. How can that, well, wait a minute.
Okay,
How
can
can that translate into developing reading and writing skills?
Rule 1 is audience.
Audience,
Rule 2 is good stories make you feel something.
connection,
So if you have an audience, 6th or 7th grade boy, whose reading skills are not at Anne of Green Gables, for example,
yep,
and you give him a story that opens with action and has gross weird stuff that punches his emotional buttons, he will keep
he's
reading.
lured in, and he will read.
But
And-
now here's the opposite.
Okay.
Because I have run into parents who go, yeah, my 4th grade kid can read at a 10th grade reading
Yeah.
level, but he stopped reading. And I say, how come? Well, we've given him War and Peace.
right,
So parents, more advice, don't worry about the reading level of a book.
Right.
It's not about this. If a kid can read a book and comprehend all of the words that he's reading, but he doesn't have any reason to read it,
right,
he's not going to read it. But if a kid can only get every 3 out of 5 words, but the story is compelling to him, he will keep reading, and by the time he gets to the end of the book, he will get 5 out of 5 words.
he will. He
So-
really will. Now, you spoke
You guys?
directly to this when you addressed our faculty and staff, and
Yes.
you gave a great example about sports and coaches and equipment and hockey. And that story really resonated with us as teachers because, and I would prefer if you share that, to explain what would happen if we cut sports and just gave the kids the equipment. Can you address that thought? Because that was
Very
very
happy to.
compelling when you spoke to our faculty here at Lurgio.
Yeah, and I mean, I mentioned what the studies have shown.
Yep.
The power of story to teach, the power of story to help us get a framework and perspective.
Power
and
of choice.
Power of choice. And we live in a world, and I'll dig out my phone while we're talking, where I can access as much information as anyone on the planet, anytime.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yep.
A girl in a one-room school in Africa can access all the same information that the head of archives at Oxford University.
Yes.
When all facts are available to everybody, facts become worth less.
Correct.
And what matters is how you can formulate those facts and what you can do with them. And story is the most powerful way for us to be able to understand what to do with facts and understand facts. And when I run into parents and sometimes school board members at various places who say, why should we worry about the library and why should we have someone in the library? Kids can access everything they need on the internet with their cell phone. And now they're right, you can get. Then I say, good, let's pull the coach out of the gym. We'll give the kids all the equipment they need, and they'll go in and they'll teach themselves how to play safely. They will learn sportsmanship all by themselves, and they will learn how to get better at the sport just by teaching themselves. And there's no parent in the world, let me rephrase that, every parent in the world would be outraged if someone
blasphemy.
said, let's
It
pull the
is.
gym teacher.
Do it yourself.
But to say,
Yeah.
let's let the kids loose on the internet, let's throw them in the library. They can explore all the information themselves. You don't have to look any further than the presidential election to understand that news sources are biased.
Right.
That emails start getting put on the internet as truth when they're not. And that's, let alone teaching them how to understand bias and find facts that you can trust, and then put them out into the wild internet where 35-year-old men are going to pose as 12-year-old girls.
Right, frightening.
And to say,
it's frightening. So
we don't need our library people to help teach kids how to handle all this information. To me, as you can tell, it makes me a little grumpy.
Right. Well, we need that structure and we need that framework.
We need someone like you who understands story, how to understand, to connect kids to story, understand how to unravel information and teach these skills.
And teach the skills.
Because if you get out of school and you're great at reading and writing and knowing how to access the internet and pulling it all together and understanding the world around you, you have what it takes to succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this was a great point that you made in the past couple of days here in Bedford, that to think like a pirate, okay, you're going to bring me that. SpongeBob SquarePants. Do we have to have this on tape? Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We need SpongeBob.
I played SpongeBob to tell the kids, right story, right time, right audience for the right reaction. So I'm having fun giving them wedgie and diaper stories and saying, when you write for your teachers, rule 1, who's your audience, and rule 2, make sure it's appropriate for your audience so that it's the right feeling. And I wanted on record that I told them Anne of Green Gables is just as good as wedgies and diapers.
Yeah, it is.
And you look at your teacher and go, I want her to feel sad and I'll write a serious story.
Yeah.
Or I want her to feel like giggling and I'm going to make sure it's appropriate for her. So rule 1 is still back to audience and messing with your teacher and making your teacher
That was
feel
great.
something.
That was great. You had a great phrase of being a story ninja. Can you explain for our audience here as an author stalker that I can totally appreciate the phrase story ninja, because we as writers, whether you're a kid or a teacher, you want to be a story ninja.
Yes.
All right, explain story ninja for us, Sigmund.
Ninjas strike without warning.
They do.
Ninjas are stealthy.
Ninjas are stealthy.
Ninjas have fun. And if you're a story ninja, you mess with your teacher.
Right.
And without warning, there it is. Your teacher's just engrossed in your story, and you're going, yeah, I'm a ninja.
I'm a ninja. That's
But
good.
I only do that because you and Mary Pat and Julie and Mimi are story divas.
Yeah.
You're the queens of story, and they show up. And
absolutely. We are proud of
connect
our
them through
story
story.
diva status.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Story diva, story ninja. We're a team.
It is a good team. It's a good team, Sigmund. We got this. We got this.
We
All
got
right,
this.
let's peel it back a little further here. 2 things. I want to talk about adjectives and adverbs.
Thank you so much.
And then I'd like to go talk about Devil's Pass. So which would you like to start with first? Adjectives and adverbs, Devil's Pass. And the 7 series.
Adjectives are good.
Adjectives are good.
Hi, I have a cat. What kind of cat? A fat, smelly, stupid cat. And when I say that, the kids all giggle.
Yes.
And then I tell them the truth. I have a cat. And in my YouTube video, as an intro to the website, I'm holding Bella. And Bella fit in the palm of my hand. She was only 2 days old.
Aw.
See?
Oh, see,
There.
right away. I didn't.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And when I talk about a little cat with the eyes swollen shut, all the kids are going, aw. And
It's
that's when I
true.
point out we like adjectives because they give you feelings.
It's,
Fat, smelly, stupid makes you laugh.
yeah,
Little fluffy cat makes you... We love adjectives.
yes, it's
It
true.
drives me insane. There, how's that for a stern look?
Yeah,
Adverbs are not good
because they,
because that means you're using such a weak verb it needs help,
there you go.
right? Instead of saying hit the ball softly, why not just say tap the ball?
Perfect.
World Series, I never heard any of the announcers go, he just hit the ball very hard. It moved quickly through the air.
All right, our sportscasters, they nail verbs. And
Nail,
you're saying
strong verb.
Strong
They
verb.
nail verbs.
They-
You pound the ball out of the park.
Exactly.
You crush it. You pulverize it. You obliterate it.
Lasered.
You laser it. It's a snipe shot
That's
out of the
good.
park.
That's what a story diva does when we are picking books for kids.
Yes.
We want those kids to come to us and say, we hate to read, because we are
get
able
to
to deliver
Deliver.
the right book.
Yes.
One of those books that we'll be delivering is Devil's Pass.
Thank
How's
you.
that? All right. Devil's Pass. Tell us about it, Sigmund.
Northwest Arctic Circle.
Northwest Arctic Circle.
Yep, in Canada. I've been
Setting,
there many times.
place.
Mackenzie River, one of the biggest rivers in the continent, flows north into the Arctic Ocean.
You go for work, research, you go
I
for
get both.
pleasure, entertainment?
I get to talk to kids at schools.
Oh, school visits?
Yes.
At the Arctic?
In the Arctic. At minus 59, schools are still open. At
Oh,
minus 60,
my.
apparently minus 60 is a little too cold.
That's
Minus
the cutoff.
59,
That's
you
the
go to
cutoff.
school. Yes.
Okay.
Seal blubber is chewy and oily. It's not something I'm fond of, but when
But
you're
you've
up
had
there,
it
they
because
expect
they
you to eat
offered
it.
that to you.
They offer it to you. Same thing with sun-dried caribou, where they strip it off nice thin strips and dry it in the sun in the fall before it starts freezing. And then in the winter, you get to chew the dried caribou, and your saliva adds moisture to it. So it's like
Yum.
having fresh raw caribou.
Oh, well, maybe
Wonderful.
the Author Stalker can go there someday and try that. Did you put those food items into
I
the
put
text of Devil's Pass
A
for
lot
authenticity?
of things into the text
Yeah.
that would make you feel something. Jim Webb is given a quest by his grandfather to travel the Canal Road. Now,
Okay.
here's what you don't know as Americans and history. In the early part of World War II, when the outcome of the war was uncertain and it looked like you would lose control of the Pacific coastline from
Yep.
California to Alaska, and in so doing lose your precious oil, the Canadian and American government got together and said, we will build a pipeline from Norman Wells in the Northwest Territories to the White Horse in the Yukon, where the Americans can now get their oil. But here's the trouble, it was 600 miles of literally uncharted
Right.
territory. No maps.
Nothing. Nothing. And not
conditions
passable.
not
Unnavigable.
10,000
word?
men, 18 months.
Wow.
4-inch pipeline, start to finish.
Wow.
In today's dollars, costs about $50 billion to do it, and then shut it down 6 months later.
Oh my. Is this where our character Webb is?
He has to follow the Canal Road,
Okay.
and his grandfather tells him at mile marker 112 he needs to do something for his grandfather, who left that request in his will.
Okay.
And at mile marker 112, Jim Webb's life is changed. I may be telling you more than you want me to discuss, but he starts off as a tough kid from a difficult family background.
Yep.
And the philosopher Nietzsche has this saying, he who fights monsters must take care that he does not become a monster himself. And as Webb is dealing with all these difficulties, he finally realizes he's become like his abusive stepfather. And when he realizes that, that's his chance to turn his life around.
Wow. Very powerful.
It was
Very
it was a
powerful.
good book to write. There was no stinky diapers in that book.
Yeah.
Different audience.
Different audience, and you graciously shared the opening passages of Devil's Pass with our 8th graders today.
They were a great group.
They were a fabulous group, and they loved the music that accompanied that.
Jim Webb's dream
Yep.
is to be a musician. He goes into the Arctic armed with a guitar, not his rifle. And at the end of the book, I talked to my characters. I said, all right, we're going to send you to Nashville. And that's the last thing his grandfather did for him, sent him to Nashville. But in real life, we have a Jim Webb. My wife's in the music business, and we met this kid who's great at guitar.
Just by happenstance.
Happenstance at a concert, house party.
Yep.
Got him to put together a work tape and sent it to a really high-profile producer in Nashville.
How old is this kid?
He's 18. 18. Yep.
So
and the producer heard the music and said, you can become Jim Webb. And there's a band now called Mile 112.
that's
and
incredible.
Jim Webb has 4 songs, so my character got to go to Nashville and reach his dreams.
That is incredible. Can we download that? Can we get that song?
You can get that.
we hear it
let's
again?
do a link to the video.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd love parents to see it because the song is called Rock the Boat, and that's my message to the kids.
Rock the boat.
Rock the boat. It doesn't mean don't make unwise choices, but if you're going to get somewhere, you got to go through some rough water.
Yeah.
Rock the boat a little.
Yeah.
Live life loud. Bring the roof down. Climb the mountain.
Yeah.
Rock the boat, and you can reach your dreams. Because in the end, we care about reading and writing because that's what's going to give them the foundation to reach their dreams.
You bring up a really good point here, Sigmund, because so much of the story is problem and conflict. And in essence, in rock and roll literacy, you taught us as teachers reading this book, that there's a problem that gets worse that's solved.
Yeah.
And kids want to read about problems that other characters are having, other people are having. Kids have their own problems, but they want to read about the problems of other people. And they want to see it get worse, and they want to see it get solved. And whether it's cockroaches, wilderness, school, you deal with all of that. Justine needing a parent volunteer.
Yes, so you get me all excited about this.
Okay, this is good.
Because it's so simple. A story.
We like simple.
A story is not beginning, middle, end. A story is problem, worse, solved.
Ah, that was good. That was good.
We don't need a 200-page academic discussion on teaching story to kids when it's as simple as hook me with the problem, keep making it worse and I'll be hooked, and then when the problem's solved, good, thank you. Whether it's a one-page story or 20 or 200, it's just not complicated.
Well, this must be the reason why you're able to reach so many audiences. It has just floored me in the past couple of days of how you are able to reach our K2 kids, our 3-4 kids, our 7-8 kids.
You're giving me way too much credit. I appreciate it. Give me more credit.
It's true though, because you understand your audience. But see, let's peel it back even further. The reason that I found you is because in working with students at the middle school level, I use your books to hook them. Because what do they do after they read your books? They keep reading. What do they do when they keep reading? They become better readers. What do they do when they become a better reader? They become a better writer. They want to read. They want to write.
Here's my wish. If we could have any parents out there talking to board members of curriculum saying, how come our kids don't get a half-hour a day in school just to read? If that happened, and studies have shown, and right, I keep saying studies have shown, our kids could just have a half-hour at school to read. What they get hooked on in that half hour, they'll continue reading at home.
Right.
But when they don't get any time to read, the message is reading is not important enough for us to give you any part of the day to read.
Right.
And to me, the irony is if you want them to get, and I'm probably just repeating myself, instead of giving them all the drills and trying to teach them to read and write through reading and writing, if you let them do what they will go toward naturally, which is stories that reach them.
Right.
And that's why we give them free choice in what books they want to read.
Right.
They will read and gain all the skills that we're fighting to give them when they can just absorb it and enjoy it. That's all we want. Half-hour a day.
Yeah.
Take that out of curriculum and say to every kid, reading is so important, you're going to stop and do it.
Yeah, and I'm even happy. 30 minutes would just be dreamy. I'm happy with 20. I'm happy even with 10. I'm happy with some block of time devoted to reading together quietly. It's great. It's good stuff. And your books are a perfect choice for it. We love using those of your books. So in talking about your books, you talked about daydreaming. Is daydreaming your researching, or do you go out and research sometimes, or do you have to visualize everything here before it comes out onto?
Yes. That's Thank you. You just said it.
Okay.
Right. When we daydream, we see it happening in our heads.
Yeah.
So all we do is take that daydream, which is a story. See, we construct a story in our head and write a story on paper. So that's all we do. We're using writing to put a story on paper. So I never like to say to the kids, could you write a story? I like saying, could you daydream a story?
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking, what's wrong with saying, could you write a story? That's inviting.
No,
you
it's
say
not.
No.
I'm going to disagree with you for the first time.
Okay, this is good.
There's nothing inviting about saying write a story.
Okay, there's a better way to say it. Writing is
Most
difficult.
kids don't like to write.
Right, that's too intimidating. It brings up
Especially
the fear
when
factor.
you put the word right in front of the good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, so
like,
daydream.
Sit there.
Daydream's a better word.
Daydream a story.
Yep.
Now, once you've got your story that's going to make your teacher giggle, go ahead and use writing as a way to deliver it.
Yep. All right,
to
this
me,
is good.
That's a big shift.
Problem, worse, solve. Daydream your story. Visualize it. See it. Write it. And how about a kid who says, but I'm not a good speller, or I don't have story structure, or you know, my handwriting's bad. You know, what about all those hiccups that happen?
I think what we hear more often is parents saying, my kid's spelling are bad, my kid's story is...
So you want the story out there.
No, I'm just saying we need better expectations as parents. That, first of all, writing's difficult.
It is.
Second of all, your 8th grade writer may have only written 100 pages his entire life. For us to expect his writing to compare with the writing we see in newspapers and magazines,
right, they need
it's
practice.
It's natural to compare it, because that's what we're all like, no, that looks. But that's an unfair advantage, because you have someone who's been writing for 20 years, who's had an editor, it's been professionally typeset.
Right.
And here's your 8th grade kid, and you get so hung up on the appearance of it,
right.
you forget to celebrate his story.
The content of the story.
And if you just start enjoying his story, his 3-paragraph story will eventually become 6.
Yep.
But if he gives you a 3-paragraph story and you say that's not good enough, it has to be longer, where's his incentive to write more?
A very wise woman is quoted as saying, story comes from the heart, but you edit from the brain.
Yes, that wise woman would be my wife, who's a songwriter.
Your wife, your songwriter
Write
wife.
from the heart, edit from the brain.
Write from the heart, edit from the brain. That really is brilliant.
She is brilliant.
That's
There's no doubt.
That's awesome. And she's a songwriter too, so...
She's a songwriter. So she understands that great songs make you feel something and great stories make you feel something.
That's impressive. Yeah. That's impressive. It's been wonderful having you here, Sigmund. Thank you so much.
This has been
great. Thank you so much.
It's
been great. It's been wonderful sharing Sigmund Brouwer with you and rock and roll literacy, rockandrollliteracy.com, my rock and roll books. We're here, we're live, we're in Bedford because we've been able to get Sigmund here from Nashville and Vancouver. We'll see you again, Author Stalker Live from Bedford, New Hampshire. Thank you to the PTG again.